Welcome. Today, I'm going to go over one of the most important strategic concepts in Rocket League, game states. I'm honestly surprised this hasn't gotten a lot of coverage from Rocket League YouTubers, because it's a fundamental skill to have in order to improve at the game, and it's very easy to understand. After watching this video, you'll know A, what the 4 game states are, B, how to identify them, and C, a couple good strategies for each of them. Let's get started. In Rocket League, at any given point in the match, the game is in one of 4 states. You're either attacking, defending, transitioning to attacking, or transitioning to defending. Being able to identify which state the game is in is a critical skill to play this game at the highest level. Each of these game states could probably have their own video, but in the interest of introducing the concept in its simplest form, we're going to watch them unfold one after another in a match of mine and talk about how you can play them generally. If this concept resonates with you, let me know with a like and a comment, and I'll dive deeper into each individual game state with a video of its own. Let's start with a transition to an attack. When you're transitioning into an attack, it means the opposing team has lost possession of the ball during their attack. This can look a lot of different ways, but typically, you'll see one attacker playing very safely or rotating all the way back, and the other one is either trying to make a Hail Mary play on the ball or going for boost. In this scenario, this attacker overcommits trying to make a pass play happen, and by doing so, he concedes possession of the ball to my team. Right now, the ball is in limbo, meaning that no one has control of the ball directly. We have possession though because of how the blue team is positioned relative to the ball. The back attacker's position is very weak, and the front attacker, while positioned aggressively, cannot score the ball. A pass for him is the best case scenario, and given his teammates' weak position on the field, a pass isn't really threatening to us. So, what's our plan here? What's the best way we can transition into a good attacking position? The question you need to ask yourself is there an attacker that overcommitted to their attack? If there isn't an attacker that's overcommitted, then we need to take control of the ball, slow down, and get a beat. In these situations, we prioritize control of the ball and spacing on the field. Second man should give the first man adequate space to cook, but close enough to get a pass if the first man decides to do so. Having a dual threat attack, where you can either pass or shoot, is critical to having a deadly attack. In this case, there's an attacker overcommitted, so we need to prioritize speed over everything else. If we can get the ball to their half of the field before the overcommitted attacker gets back, we'll be in a 2v1 and have a tremendous advantage on the last defender. There are 2 ways to generate speed in transition. The first, and the fastest, is for one player to hit a passing lane and the other to give him a pass with good speed. Not too fast, because you don't want him to lose control of the ball once he gets it, but fast enough to get out of your half of the field as quickly as possible. But I understand a lot of you probably either A, don't trust your teammates to hit the passing lane, or B, don't have the ability to complete the pass yourself. All is not lost. If you don't think passing's a good option, then the next best option is to advance the ball to an open pocket. In this situation, there are 2 pockets where we could advance the ball to: the left side of the orange half and the right side of the orange half. The back defender is covering the middle of the field, and because he's pointed to the right side, a little bit of the middle right as well. If you're opting not to pass here, I would say getting it to the right wall would be a really good option. It creates space between you, the back defender, and the rotating defender. It allows you good vision of the field, and you can pass, shoot, or take the ball down the wall and towards the middle of the field. However, in this situation, me and my teammate are going to pass. My teammate is going to hit the passing lane along the bottom of the right wall, and I'll come in and get the ball to him the best I can. Let's see how the play develops from here. Okay, so a couple things to note here. 1, the back defender puts a lot of pressure on our attack by crossing the field here. To combat this, I would have loved to see my teammate take the ball up the wall, because this forces a nuclear option for the defender. He would either have to drive up the wall, which is not ideal and leaves the net open for either an air dribble or simple pass play, or rotate all the way back to net, which gives us a lot of space to develop our attack. Going across here pretty much guarantees that the committed attacker from before is going to have time to get back, but all is not lost. 2, I made a pretty bad error here by following the ball after I get the pass off. Ideally, I'd slow down and get across the field for my teammate so he has the passing option. This also would put me in a good position to collect after a 50 between the last defender and my teammate. At this point, my job as second man is to stay back and let the play develop in front of me. One of two things is going to happen after this 50 between the last defender and my teammate. A, my teammate will win the 50, the ball crosses the halfway point on the blue half and will be in our attack, or B, my teammate loses the 50, the ball is headed back to our half, and we're transitioning back to defense. Let's see the play develop a bit. So, as you can see, my teammate won the 50 and the ball has crossed into the other side. As expected, the committed attacker is back on defense and we are officially in our attack. Attacking in Rocket League is all about pressure. You create pressure by putting the ball in threatening positions, most of the time in the midfield or on the wall if you're a threat in the air. As second man, the best policy is to let your teammates cook and give him the option to pass if he wants. Most of the time he won't, but being in a position for a pass creates a ton of pressure on the defense, even if he doesn't pass it. Also, being in position for a pass most of the time means you're also in a good position to transition back to defense. You want to stay across the field from your teammate in this area. I'll refer to this position as the blue quarter. When the ball goes into the corner like this, my position right now is about as close as you want to be. Any closer and you're out of position for a pass, and transitioning back can be difficult. Let's think about this situation specifically though. The ball is in a volatile position, meaning that neither player really has control of the ball, and they're both going full speed trying to beat the other person. This often results in an explosive 50, which can be difficult to read, so as second man, we want to stay back and let the play develop in front of us. Once the ball goes up this corner, it will be up to me to determine whether I should try to get control of the ball or concede possession of the ball and transition back to defense. In this scenario, the decision's pretty easy. If the ball goes away from the blue net, no matter where it goes, I should be able to beat this last defender to the ball. If it goes towards the net, however, then there's no sense in trying to beat him to the ball. He's in a good position to scoop, and going for it would only put a ton of pressure on my teammate after I inevitably overcommit. Let's watch the play develop a bit. Okay, so my teammate wins the 50 in the corner and the ball gets hit directly to the last defender. However, rather than being able to slow it down and take control of the ball, the last defender is forced to get the ball out quick because my teammate followed his touch and threatened to score. Because I played safe and let the play develop in front of me, I'm in a good position to attack the ball as it goes to the left wall. Good defense by the blue team would be the last defender becoming the first defender and challenging me on the wall while the other defender resets in net. This means that I only have one defender to beat, and ideally, I should try and beat him in a way where I can keep control of the ball and set up a pass or a shot. I'd like to see my teammate grab some pads in the midfield here and stick around so I have the passing option. Also, by sticking around and getting pads, it puts him in a good position to be ready for a pass or transition back to defense if I get beat. Let's develop the play a little bit. Everything I just said has gone out the window because both of the defenders are going for the ball. My objective has changed entirely, from trying to keep control of the ball to beating these two defenders at all costs. Ideally, I can throw myself at the ball and get it off the wall to my teammate in midfield with a good amount of power. But the only thing that matters is that I beat them both to the ball. If I do so, there's a good chance that we have a huge advantage and we'll be able to score. Often, you'll find that the structure we create for how to best play the game goes out the window when the other team makes a critical error. The priority shifts immediately from whatever it was before to capitalizing on the mistake of the other team. Let's see how this plays out. One of the defenders turns off the ball at the last second, which is a great correction by him. However, we still have a big advantage because of how much the other defender committed for the ball. That advantage goes away, unfortunately, when my teammate gets a slightly too powerful touch on the ball and gives it straight to the last defender. A good shot here would be a much softer first touch, then towards the left wall and turn back for a power shot. But mistakes happen and you can't score on every single attack. At this point, we're transitioning to defense. As we set up, it's critical that you recognize whether your teammate is sticking around or rotating back. If he's sticking around, then you need to haul back to net and get pads or big boosts and prepare for the defend. If he's rotating back, then you need to see where the attacker with control of the ball is and pressure him. Transitioning to defense, in my opinion, is the absolute easiest part of the game if both players are on the same page. It requires very little mechanical skill to execute and is very easily repeatable even into higher ranked lobbies like this one. The player who is pressuring the attacker with control has one job: to pressure and, by proxy, to force. As soon as this attacker gets that soft touch on the ball, I am flying to him as fast as possible. This does one of two things. It either A, forces him to throw the ball away to my teammate who's rotating back, or B, forces him to a wall or corner where he's much less threatening. In lower ranks, up until probably high champ 3, you can force a lot of bad shots on net for easy saves by letting the attacker get a handle on the ball and then diving it. They throw it away almost every time. In this rank, however, applying pressure quickly and all the way downfield is the best way to ensure my teammate isn't put in a sticky situation. There's really no sense in trying to clean beat the attacker with control here, because unless he just trolls the ball away, he'll almost always retain possession. Even if he doesn't, chances are I'll have a weak 1v1 attempt with the defender rotating back, and then the outcome of that is a 2v1 against my teammate alone. It's better to just apply the pressure and let them develop their attack that you can defend a high percentage of the time. The player going back to net also only has one job: get boost and wait. Yes, literally get a full tank of gas and park your car in the net while the attackers scramble to put together their attack. Patience is key for the last defender. Don't leave home until you absolutely have to. Let's see how their attack develops. We're officially on defense. If the pressuring defender does their job well, the attackers will either have to shoot off the wall, which is typically easy to defend, or intercept a pass, which is harder to defend, but in most cases, it's also harder on the attackers as well. We're fine with either outcome. The key is for the second defender to be patient and wait for one of these things to happen. Sometimes it'll play out in such a way where the defender in net literally doesn't have to do anything, and the pressuring defender can collect possession of the ball himself and get a pass off in transition. Other times, if the attackers play it sufficiently well, they'll be able to keep possession and keep their attack on. Sometimes the attacker won't be able to force either, though, and will have to rotate behind you in net. In this situation, the defender in net has to come out and force something to happen. You can't be scared of missing the ball. Your responsibility is now chaos, nothing else. Get in the attacker's face and deny them the ability to develop a strong play. Let's look at our defensive position here. I'd like to mention that while I am positioned very aggressively here, this isn't ball chasing. My goal is to create chaos, and that's exactly what I'm doing. It can turn into ball chasing if I don't let my teammate come to work, but it isn't quite there yet, because my teammate should be playing very patiently here. Let's see what these attackers are going to do. The attackers get a great pass off here, and my teammate does a great job of defending the net and forcing the ball across. Since my teammate is likely going to be awkward and low boost from getting up for the ball, it's going to be on me to follow the ball and pressure the very same way I did before. Again, it's not my responsibility to steal the ball and score. It's not my responsibility to dunk the attacker with control of the ball. My responsibility is only to create pressure around the attack and make my teammates' life as easy as possible. I think this misunderstanding is what creates the most defensive errors. Players try to make highlight plays on the ball instead of just doing their job, and it puts their teammates in a really hard spot. All you need to do is create pressure. That's it. Let's watch the attack develop some more. I didn't realize until here that my teammate followed me to the ball. It isn't necessarily a mistake by him though. The reason I went in the first place is because I assumed he would have low boost after his contest. If he has the boost, he was definitely in a good position to put pressure on the attack. My teammate is driving away from the dead ball, which sucks, but he should be able to get around to it and at least contest this attacker that's coming up on him. My job here is to get back to net as quickly as possible. However, the only real danger here is a Kuxer pinch directly into our net. While it's certainly possible, especially in the higher ranks, I'm not really sweating about needing to get a crazy save here. Let's watch. Sure enough, he gets a Kuxer pinch directly towards our net. It's slow though, and unless we make a fatal error here, we should be able to collect possession and transition back to an attack. This is always 100% of the time my teammate's ball to take. He has momentum, no one is threatening to dunk him into net, and him taking the ball to the right corner sets up a really nice attack where we are spaced well and full on boost. No need to be a hero here. Let's just turn off, get the left boost, see if we can't put it into the back of their net. That's it. Those are the 4 game states as they are played in 2v2s. To summarize, when transitioning to an attack, it's very important for the attackers to determine whether or not they can force a 2v1. If they can, then you always prioritize speed and try to force an air out of the last man back. If they can't, then prioritize control of the ball and good spacing across the field. As second man, remember that being in a position for a pass creates pressure even if your teammate doesn't pass it. When attacking, similar rules apply. You want to give the person with the ball space to cook and be in positions where you can receive a pass and transition back to defense if necessary. It's important that you maintain a strong position on the opponent's quarter. A mistake a lot of players make is being scared of a bang to your net and, as a result, being in a weak position. This concedes possession of the ball after only one attempt at scoring, and the longer you control the ball, the less time your opponent has to score. When transitioning to defense, the player closest to the ball, or the player with the most momentum towards the ball, should apply as much pressure as possible and, if possible, force a weak shot on net for the other defender to save. The other defender needs to get boost and prepared to either save the weak shot forced by your teammate or go to net and prepare to defend. When defending, it's critical that you're patient, but also keep the rotation moving. If you know your teammate is coming in behind you, you have to step out of net and contest the ball. You don't even have to hit it, you just have to force the attack to develop the play further. Giving the attackers time and space is a recipe to getting scored on. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about specific situations in your games, feel free to join my Discord in the description and shoot me a DM. I'd be happy to help answer any questions you might have. I know this video might seem like a lot, and I did debate splitting it into multiple more in-depth videos, but having coached players on this concept before, I find it's very intuitive and most players tend to pick it up very quickly. Concepts like this are critical to improving the strategic side of your game. It gives you a structure to look at the game with and provides a set of rules you can follow to evaluate your play when you're watching your replays. I hope you learned something, and good luck as you begin learning how to implement these concepts into your games.